Doghouse Racing League is proud to be sponsored by Shoney's. Shoney's is today's all-American kitchen, open daily for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Shoney's guests can count on quality, delicious food along with warm, friendly service. Stop by one of the West Virginia locations to try their freshly prepared legendary breakfast bars. And don't forget to take home a whole strawberry pie. Shoney's, delicious food and friendly service since 1947. Are you looking for sports merchandise for your favorite teams, apparel, jerseys, headwear, hard goods, and looking to be involved with NASCAR? Fanatics is your one-stop shop. Fanatics is partnered up with all major professional sports leagues, as well as hundreds of collegiates and pro teams. Join them now at Fanatics. And if you use the link down below in the description, you'll be able to help out the Doghouse Racing League. While using that link, all commissions go to the Doghouse Racing League, which helps fund prizes and goods for the drivers out on track. Thank you so much for Fanatics, and enjoy the show! Broadcasting tonight, we give you the coverage of the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series on Thursday night. We get ourselves prepared for race number 2 of the schedule as we are currently in the 2024 Season 2. This race to test out some concrete as we got just done last week at Indianapolis for the Indianapolis 180. Tonight, we try out the true Patriot 175 here at Nashville Super Speedway, a concrete course that has been ran 2 times in the past and yet to see a yellow flag thrown. Tonight might change, or could we continue? That's going to be the true question of the evening. But once again, we're happy to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up in the booth is going to be Zach Hall, and Zach is going to be moving from Indianapolis over to Nashville Super Speedway. Completely different tracks, but I think all the drivers are excited to get to a track that is known for not bringing out a lot of cautions.
That's for sure. Definitely not a lot of cautions in the past history here of Doghouse, so we'll have to see if they can continue that trend of caution-free races here at this concrete 1.33 mile super speedway. You know, this place is very, very interesting in my opinion. One of the more different ovals out there. You know, concrete. It's, you know, we go to Dover, of course, it's a mile in length, but it's very high banked. Same with Bristol, very high banked concrete tracks. This is a much lower banked, higher speed speedway style racetrack, so I'm expecting a lot of tire wear, a lot of comers and goers, so to say. It's going to be interesting to see how the balances of these cars handle, especially because we are heading off into the nighttime. So concrete, the conditions change very quickly, especially with that temperature loss, so we'll have to see how they can keep up with the race cars and the changes they make throughout the night.
I'll be wondering, why is it called Nashville Super Speedway when they're not going to be doing as much pack racing around one another like you would see at a Daytona, Talladega, current Atlanta? Well, it's known as Nashville Super Speedway because it's a much bigger course than Nashville Fairgrounds. That's where the name is coined from. But the drivers are seeing the sun setting, which means it's about to be time for qualifying for this field here this evening. You're watching again the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. Want to have a quick thank you. We'll talk about these sponsors even more in depth later on, but thank you to Shoney's, True Patriots, Apparel and Gifts, SSR Designs, Butt Kicker, and Nap Daddy Racing Designs. All major sponsors that are helping out the Doghouse Racing Leagues in general, from their Xfinity to the Cup side. Thank you to all those that help out with their series. As drivers are just finishing up practice, we're about to head into qualifying. Qualifying is going to be very quick. You got 2 laps to put down your fastest lap possible, but you only have 5 minutes to do so. Some drivers will wait until the very end. Some want to be setting the tone immediately, but it's all going to be starting now. Zach, you talked about the concrete, the lack of banking, you could say, but with this series, the open setups, it really is going to be what are the drivers searching for, because it seems like for the fixed setup side, it's more of a tight to loose sensation the drivers deal with. I'm curious on what the drivers are searching for this evening.
That's exactly right, Sam. Normally with the fixed setups, we tend to have a little bit of a tight end on the entry, loose off the corner style racing here when we come to this racetrack. With the open setups, it could be anything. You could have a loose end, tied off race car. So you can really manufacture what the balance you want for that race car to be. And I'm also interested to see, we saw the lap times there in practice, some very quick times. I'm wondering if we see pickup here in this qualifying session. Now, it is tough to get that same amount of heat built up into the tires to get the full potential lap time possibly out of these race cars. But sometimes your qualifying setup can be tuned just that little bit more to be finely set up for that balance of the cold tire. So we'll see who nailed that setup and gets to start out front, because I can tell you one thing, track position is always a huge benefit when you come to Nashville.
We got some of our favorites that we know are going to be quick drivers to watch out for. Tyler Millette got the pole back in season 2 for the first time that they ran back in the 22 season 2. And then later on in that season, they ran once again here at Nashville Super Speedway in the 2022 season 2. And it was Jonathan Jennings that dominated that race with the pole, most laps led, and the win. Here tonight, though, going to be a much different picture. There's some new drivers that have already proven that they're going to be threats to watch out for, such as Brandon Six, who got the pole last week, also was fast during practice, and found himself grabbing the win. Will anyone else be able to top the board? Because right now, one of the threats has been Christopher Simon, who just tops the board on his first lap. But it seems like a lot of the other fast drivers, they're waiting for later on in qualifying to see where they'll be placed. As Eric Anderson, now the new top driver after finishing his second lap, as the first time they ever ran here. Tyler Millette wanting to have some extra speed for the 94.
That's for sure. This track is very, very interesting indeed, and it's all about bringing the speed here in qualifying. Right now, Brian Dixon, rookie here, jumps himself up to the third position with Christopher Leftwich holding on to third at the moment, but times keep coming through. Times are looking to get quicker and quicker possibly here as the nighttime continues to come in. So we'll see if waiting just a little bit longer will get those little bit better conditions.
Half of the field is now done with qualifying, and it's going to be now Eric Anderson top of the board with Steve Hayes and Brian Dixon. Currently, your top drivers. Those to watch out for, though, watch out for the 98 of Jamie Horn. He's been looking mighty fast during practice. He's hoping to be topping the board, and he's already done it. Brandon Six, first lap down, already 1/10 faster than Eric Anderson.
Wow, what speed he just found on that lap was amazing, and I think he's also going to invalidate his second lap. I was watching him, and he got into the outside wall, so that first lap going to come in handy here, and we saw it at Indianapolis. He did a similar thing there, invalidated the second lap, won the pole with the first lap. So it's just showing the speed that 06 has after winning last week in Indianapolis. He started a bold statement here, coming back, starting out front.
But still, there are other threats to watch out for. Christopher Simon talked about how fast he was looking during practice. Didn't find that same speed here. He'll be 9th on the board, but Andrew St. Cour going to be a fast driver to watch out for. Jamie Horn's been looking quick as well. Horn's first lap to be fast enough for 5th, hoping to move up into that pole position, or at least on the front row if possible, as Kevin Thompson, notoriously late in qualifying. He'll be moving up to 2nd position, and also seeing some late surges to the top. Going to be seeing Horn up to 4th, but doesn't look like for Thompson. He needs a better run. He's still 1/10 back from 6th, but this is a much better qualifying attempt by Kevin Thompson compared to last week.
That's for sure. He's going to start way farther up than he did last week in Indianapolis, so that's going to be a ton of help for him. And it looks like also that second lap going to be invalidated from him. So a lot of guys having issues on that second lap. And it looks like Andrew St. Cour, though, he's having no problem. Second lap, top of the board for the 12 machine.
Andrew St. Cour was 2nd fastest during practice, and he carries on the speed. Going to be 3/100ths of a second faster than Brandon Six, as the 06 looks to be starting in 2nd. But a shocker, qualified not as well as we thought he was going to. Shane Parrish will start in the back half of the field, same as another couple of fast drivers we saw last week. Starting deeper in the field, we got Jeremiah Stutzman not able to get a time in, nor did Brandon Bowie be able to get a lap in. Those are going to be some fast contenders we're going to watch climb through the field.
That's for sure. Definitely some fast cars we've seen, not only from practice, but last week at Indianapolis. So we'll see how they can climb their way through. We watched Bowie really climb his way through until something came up there later in the race where he had to get out of the sim. So We'll see if he can have that similar trajectory here tonight at the Nashville Super Speedway. But what a lap by Andrew St. Cour to put him on pole position. That's always great to see the 12 back out front.
It certainly is great, and he really needed that run after last week coming out of Indianapolis, 19th in points. Needed a rebound. Again, there is no playoffs. It is a straight just run the going to be the 16 races that we have this season. Excuse me, 14 races this season. Whoever has the most points will win the championship for the 2024 season 2. And we take a look at what the points are looking like entering tonight. Now, the names that are blank are drivers that did not show up here tonight. 5th in points, that's going to be Kevin Powell. But here's what the rest of the top 10 looks like coming out of Indianapolis. Brandon 6, major points boost with the amount of bonus points winning. And you've got Brandon Fetter, place teammate of 6, part of Bowie Racing. It's going to be in the top 2. And then you have Jamie Horn, who was fighting for a top 4 in points last season. Shane Parrish, and already the rookies, I gotta say, are showing out after just race number 1.
That they definitely are, Sam. The rookies all up here right in the mix. Of course, last season's champion, Kevin Thompson, there we see him on the second list there in 11th position. He'll want to be making up for that tonight after a tough run in Indianapolis. And like we said, the names that aren't there on the screen, that means they're not here at the racetrack tonight. So tough positions, but our pole setter even back in 19th at Andrew St. Cour. So lots of gains to be had. Even Michael Hayes, one of the top contenders last season, he's in 14th. So it is wide open when it comes to those championship standings.
Certainly is. 12th in points is Michael Skimia. Adam Gardner was 13th. In that 20th position was Gary Armio. A couple of other drivers going to be not joining as well. Going to be Tony Martin and taking their opportunity for a start and park. All drivers have 2 races that they can announce that they will not be showing up for, and will take start and park points, which are 45 points is what you're going to be given out for missing a race. And for the drivers that are missing, again, that's going to be Tony Martin, Gary Armio, as well as Kevin Powell, Adam Gardner, and Michael Skimia not showing up for tonight's race. So it's going to be a slightly smaller field than what we saw last week, but like we've already seen from qualifying, this is going to be a fast group, and we know some drivers are going to be working from the back to the front. I think that's going to be the fun pack to watch. But tonight's race is going to be 131 laps. No stage break, no fast repair, only 3 extra sets of tires in pit road, and always the factor that kind of changes things up in these races, just 70% fuel load that the drivers have to work with here tonight.
That's exactly right, Sam. That changes up the strategy a good bit there. Not only the strategy, but also the balance of the race car. When you take that extra fuel out of the rear end of these race cars, it's going to make the weight transfer just that much different. So I'm sure everybody had that in mind when they built their setups this week, and they said, all right, 70% fuel load it is, so we're going to be tuning them to that way. So we'll see how that affects, again, the strategy of pit calls, but also the handling of these race cars.
As drivers are getting their very last bit of warm-ups in before we get to our racing action here tonight. Also enables us to say thank you to the sponsors for tonight. Again, title sponsor being Shoney's. If you're in the West Virginia area, remember to go check out Shoney's. They've got you covered for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And if you're there in the morning time for breakfast, remember to check out their legendary breakfast bar. And after getting some food, remember to take home a whole strawberry pie from Shoney's. Delicious food and friendly service since 1947. And your sponsor for tonight's race being True Patriot Apparel and Gifts. True Patriot Apparel and Gifts is a small business that believes in God, standing on our flags, and abiding by the U.S. Constitution. They advocate for freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the right to bear arms. If you want to go check out some great apparels from TruePatriotShopUS.com, that's where you can go to check out the True Patriot Apparel and Gifts. Use the promo code DOGHOUSE10. That's Doghouse with the number 10 at the end to receive 10% off on your order. As well as if you want to check out some great sim designs that can help you look as sharp as possible out on track, go check out SSR Designs. SSR Designs, you can contact on Facebook to talk about what your project and bring to life the idea that you have. From classic designs to bold graphics, Designs is here to make your vehicles truly one of a kind. Remember to go check them out on Facebook, SSR Designs. Zach, as the drivers are getting prepared for this race, it's going to be, again, a little bit longer than they've ran before. In previous that of Nashville Super Speedway races, it's been 75 laps or less that they've ran. We're practically doubling what they've ran in the past. How do you mentally prepare for that long of a race that maybe you weren't prepared for 2 years ago?
You know, that is very true. When you have those different length races, you do have to prepare differently, especially mentally. You got to be willing to go through all the bumps and bruises, so to say, because in the past they've had caution-free races, but that doesn't mean that won't happen tonight where we see a caution. So you got to be ready for any little thing. Be ready to switch that strategy up at any moment given. So we'll see who can stay on top of it, but definitely the longer race messes with the mentality.
Alrighty, well, the drivers have finished up with practice qualifying and as well with their warm-up, and it means it's time for us to take a look at our starting grid. Taking the pole for the first time this season, it's the 12, Andrew St. Cours. To his outside, starting in second place, we find Brandon 6 in the 06. Keeping with the 6 numbers, we find ourselves in third place with Kevin Thompson in the 6 machine. Fourth is the 43 of Eric Anderson. What a qualifying run for himself. Jamie Horn will be starting in 5th position. To their outside is the 13 of Stephen Hayes. We fall down to 7th position where we find the 94 of Tyler Millette and Adam Thompson, who wants to have a recovery run after some early mistakes last week in the 71. In 9th, we find Brian Dixon, and finished out our top 10, we find the 8 of Christopher Leftwich.
Starting in the 11th position, it's going to be the 27 of Christopher Simon. On the outside here in the 12th position is going to be Hunter Simpson in the 5 machine. 13th in qualifying is going to go to the 60 of Mike Leftwich, with 14th on his outside being Brandon Fetterplace. 15th in qualifying is the 23 car of Jonathan Smith, with 16th in qualifying going to Gary Kloon. 17th position is going to be held by Cameron King in the 92. Alongside him in 18th, it's going to be Eric Warman. 19th is going to be Nicholas Schnell, and rounding out our top 20 is Justin McMahon.
In 21st in the 28 machine, it's Daniel Wilkerson coming out for this season. In 22nd position, it's the 48 of Michael Hayes, who we expect to have a good run here tonight. In 23rd, it's the 14 of Mark Dumont. 24th position is the 19 of Nicholas Atwood. Then in 25th, we find the 9 of Stephen Bonomo. 26 is Andy Cork. Then we find Shane Parrish. Again, try to get those qualifying times in. We're able to do so. And our last 2 drivers going to be Brandon Bowie as well as Jeremiah Stutzman, who, again, those final 3 drivers are people that were fighting for top 5 finishes last week. They got a lot of work, though, to get through this field.
That they do, Sam. It's going to be fun to watch some of the faster cars come through, and maybe some of the mid-pack drivers who didn't get the best qualifying times find their way up through the field here at the concrete 1.33 mile Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville Super Speedway going to be tough on the tires. We'll see how the drivers have figured out their race trim, the setups, and how they want to maybe adjust as the night continues to fall. The lights are on. It's time for us to get ready for racing action. Again, tonight's race, 131 laps, no stage break, no fast repairs, just 3 sets of tires in pit road with a 70% fuel load. I want to say thank you to everyone that's joining with us in the chat. If it's your first time watching us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, welcome to the show. You are watching the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, race number 2 of the season, as this season is the 2024 Season 2. This race is presented by True Patriots Apparels and Gifts, as Nashville Super Speedway is a track that for some they enjoy, others they hate. And tonight we hope to see a fantastic show as the pace car is about to pull off into pit road. The drivers get ready for the Geico restart zone. Thanks for joining with us. It's time to go fast as the True Patriot 175 is underway. It's going to be Brandon 6, Andrew St. Cours going to be taking off and roaring down into turn number 1.
Oh, Brandon 6 there with a great restart from the outside lane, and kind of a little bit of a, I don't know if it was exactly on green there or a little bit of a roll-up, or St. Cours was just in the wrong gear, but 6 takes control of it, and down the back straightaway, everybody is trying to find the bottom lane.
Yeah, I mean, you're really looking back for a quick moment. It looked like 6 just was in the better gear to take off, as up front, it is going to be Brandon 6, not waiting long to get back to his comfort zone, leading the race up front. Exactly what he was doing last week at Indianapolis. here tonight. Already going to be ahead is our front two as the battling for third position. Still side by side. Eric Anderson not wanting to just lay and wait in fourth position. He fights for that third place over Kevin Thompson, last season's champion in that six machine.
That 43 had a heck of an end to the season last season. Really got a lot of momentum late in it. Had a great qualifying run here tonight. Let's see if he can build off of that. And he's trying, like you said, to take over that third position. But you don't want to overwork those tires on this concrete racetrack. That will definitely cause an issue later in the race. But you can see right there, Brandon Six, our leader, running another fastest lap out front, just showing you clean air is a huge advantage.
Red icon that's going to be on your ticker board, that shows who has the current fastest lap of the race. And as you've also seen on the top banner, Brandon Six has been putting down fast lap after fast lap. And curious if that's going to be the mentality of the evening. Is it just pull out as big of a gap as possible and then hope that once pit stops roll around that maybe you can slow down the pace, cool off these tires? Or is it hopefully you have a big enough gap that they just can't catch up to you, as Eric Anderson's now fastest lap is right there. We're seeing it go back and forth now, and this is fun to see from Anderson. Again, like you said, Zach, it was last season at the end of the season where we saw Anderson really start to find his own groove. This is the strongest start I think we've ever seen from this 43 from qualifying to the race.
That's exactly right, Sam. Usually it's when we, get to the later half of the race, we talk about, oh, Eric Anderson's coming through the field. Well, tonight he's not going to come through the field. He needs to stay up in the top half of this front top five here and try to hold on to position. And he's definitely putting on a show right now, running the fastest lap of the race last time by. So hopefully not getting too much out of the tires and just has the speed here tonight.
Also, you see there Brandon Fetterplace, who's one of the biggest movers inside of our top 10, but trouble looks to be striking for some drivers on blinking issues further on back, as the middle of the field is going to get a little bit more chaotic. You've got drivers that are on the move. You got Brandon Bowie, Shane Parrish. They are just carving their way through right now, up to 19th and 20th position.
Wow, to see them getting that spots that fast is pretty incredible to see right now. As you can see the 54 Bowie already up to the 19th position, at 66 behind them and up to 20th. These two trying to carve their way up through. They got Jonathan Smith, Eric Woolman, and Cameron King next in line. And each car you catch next in line is a little bit tougher to pass, in my opinion, every time you go up in position. So we'll see how much trouble they have. But right now, Bowie and Parrish definitely making up some early spots from the rear of the field.
I mean, honestly, we got to change the title to "This is Bowie's Racing Team," because those are all Bowie esports drivers that are on your biggest movers right now. It's crazy to see them all moving. The only driver that's not a part of that team is going to be Shane Parrish, but a crazy just advancement of seeing the drivers pushing so aggressively here early on. We know how important tires can be in the next 5 to 10 laps. So all these drivers know these big moves could be critical to hurt you later on if we stay green. And like we've noted on multiple times already, get to see a yellow here at Nashville Super Speedway. And that was the talking point entering tonight, is could we continue that? Because, Zach, we've seen this track. At moments, it feels like it gets chaotic off the exit of the corner. It can also get very tight based off how you set up this vehicle. But this is a track where, even with the amount of chaos we can find, rarely wants to bring out yellows.
It really doesn't. It's very interesting in that case because it's a very tough track to drive. So you would think a lot of times that being tougher to drive and taking a little more difficulty, it would equate to cautions. But in my opinion, a lot of times when drivers have a tough time driving a racetrack, they kind of back it down that notch. And I think everybody kind of has a little bit more give and take. So maybe that's what plays out. You also really start to spread out as the long run goes. If we get 30, 40 laps into this run here, we're going to really see a lot of separation throughout the field, and it's going to be, really who can manage their stuff. So we'll see how that works out, but right now, definitely a ton of battling going on. As you can see, we're right there focused on that group in the red on the ticker.
As it's going to be your battling going on for 6th position as well as back to 9th, that you're seeing these pockets of groups battling mixed between, and it's really 6th on back that's being held by Stephen Hayes and the 13. And it's just kind of just clogging up and making this train of drivers get closer and closer every time they enter the corner, which these drivers and these vehicles can take a bump going into the corner, but some don't want to be as patient. As now moving to the outside, it's going to be the 03 of Brian Dixon, who wants to be making the charge, as he's side by side with Brandon Fetterplace in the 03, as that move to the outside backfires quickly.
That it does. A better place there. Made a mistake in qualifying, and I think he's trying to make up for that after starting 14th. We saw what he did in Indianapolis after not having the greatest qualifying run. Really worked his way forward and got right into the top 3 by the end of the race. So we'll see what Better Place can continue to do. Definitely one of the better intermediate racers last season we've seen. I mean, we really excelled on these style tracks and rolled right in front of him. The 71 of Thompson there into that wall hard. Now Better Place going to look to the outside with a possible run, but I don't know if he's going to be able to get there on him.
It just seems like if you're going to make a pass, you have to set up going to the inside. It is the only way to go now as we're 13 laps into this run. Your tires are not as fresh as they were when we took that initial green. And that extra little bit of grip that you're looking for just is not there any longer, as it's got now turning into some short track racing where you have to stay low as best as you can. But trouble's trying to strike in the middle, and it's Brandon Bowie, in the 54. Trouble for himself. He's into the grass, and we stay green as he falls all the way back to last place.
Oh man, that's a tough break. He was really charging his way through, was up to 16th, and I think it was a little bit of contact between him and the 45 of Gary Clune. So definitely some tough beating and banging that went on back there, and 54 goes around here as you get to see it right now. As wow, 54 Bowie gets lucky not to get too much damage in with the car that clipped him there on the inside, but man, that's not going to bring on a caution here at this track.
Just came rushing up. We got some slight contact off the exit turn 4, and then off the nose, and away the 54 goes, just showing how on the razor's edge these vehicles are on. As we're back to live coverage, it went from battling to try to crack inside of our top 15 to now all the way back to last place. Bowie now is banking on a caution to get back into this race, but again, with those talking points, Bowie was the only one who was making passes. Everyone else has kind of been stuck where they're at. They've made all their passes in the first 5 laps, and now it's wait and see if someone makes a mistake in front of you.
That's exactly right, Sam. It's tough in this next-gen car at the beginning of the runs. The lap time seems so close together. It just really comes down to who is pushing the car more and getting the most out of the race car. So a lot of times at these racetracks, you got to kind of save a little bit in the back pocket for later in the run, because the passing becomes a little bit easier once you get about 30, 40 in due to the tire wear and just the difference in pace. You really need that, 1 to 2 tenth advantage to really try to make something happen, or you're going to have trouble just passing somebody. So we'll see how that shakes out. But right now, Warman trying to get himself forward to catch up to Mike Leftwich.
Eric Warman is getting a great picture of drivers battling behind him and in front of him as drivers are on top of one another. Christopher Simons had some scary moments, as well as Chris Leftwich in 12th and 13th, as they're still pretty gaggled up from the 8th place to 14th, as you're also seeing Shane Parrish and Clune now turning into the magnet that drivers are bouncing off of. But that little bit of a kink is what Bowie was hoping to have. Of slight contact was still moving forward. It works for Parrish. Gary Clune getting used up here early on.
Clune definitely having some contact here with a few drivers. Now he's going to have the threat of the 24, Justin Leanne, who you can already see some front nose damage to that 24. And that's definitely not what you want to see for Justin, because that'll definitely hurt the aerodynamics on that race car. So we'll see if he can try to set up this 45, who has had a really great run in Indianapolis last week. It was really, really strong. So I'm sure the 45 wants to be a little farther up than 18th.
Absolutely would, but at this moment, stalling now. I think also it hurts some of these drivers that we're so used to, as Atwood as well as McMahon get into the outside wall off the exit of turn 4. Some of these drivers that we used to talk about, especially last season, of their top 10 potential, their top 5 potential, with the rookie class that we've had carried into this season, it's now turned into, well, are they going to get a top 10 with how much the gap in skill level has ramped up this season?
No doubt. It has definitely been a whole new jump up for the league here, and it's going to be fun to see who can really flourish in it. So we'll see which drivers can make the most out of it, and right now, definitely a few that are doing a great job. As we look at Tyler Millette here in the 11th position, he's a little bit ahead of Chris Leftwich there, but I've been watching the driver ahead of him. Hunter Simpson running some quick times in the 5 machine. He's starting to try to work over the 03 and the 71 up ahead of him. So we'll see if that 5 can continue his run forward, because I know teammates with the likes of the 98 Jamie Horn, both those cars looking quick here this late into the run, showing the speed that they probably have built up from that setup.
Yeah, Hunter Simpson, a driver that 2-3 seasons ago you could say was competing for championships, now on a part-time schedule, loves when he's able to show up in a race, but more focused on real-life racing. He's the 5 machine, and here tonight going to be trying their best to move forward for a top 5 finish if possible, as now the battling between Brian Dixon and Simpson continue to fight back and forth, but expecting Simpson to be in the stronger position to try to hold that spot. But we move up to the battling now for 4th position. Eric Anderson has fallen back to the clutches of Kevin Thompson once again, and now this is the battle for 4th place as Jamie Horn has moved up to 3rd, but Anderson, strong first 20 laps, and now is kind of just floating and hoping to just stay in a top 5 potential finish here. But they've got to be careful because Brandon Fetterplace is catching this front pack.
That's for sure. Fetterplace that last time by was the fastest car on the racetrack of the drivers around him. So definitely doing a great job as he's trying to move his way forward. Steve Hayes too, also making very good pace in that 13 machine. I mean, qualified 6th and right now running in the 7th position. So hasn't really gave up too much and is kind of right where he started. So we'll see if the lap time's starting to turn around, but definitely starting to see a few lap times showing me that fall off is happening. Eric Anderson, one of them, 30.906. So, compare that to our leaders, 30.415. Looking at least 3 to 4 tenths there sometimes. So we're starting to see a little bit of tire fall off, and the more and more we go in these runs, the more that's going to happen on this concrete racetrack.
More of these drivers have to be thinking about, okay, who's going to be aiming to make these pit stops? Or are we aiming to stretch the fuel out as long as possible? Maybe we're going to short pit and try to make sure we get some of that fresh rubber before the drivers ahead of us. That's going to be a lot of the questions that continue to loom on in the thoughts of these drivers for the next 10 to 15 laps. But for now, our top 7 all within 3 seconds of one another, and it's going to shrink with, like we said, the pace of Fetterplace and Hayes. Looking deeper in the field, some of our biggest movers so far, Shane Parrish is the biggest mover, but shockingly, I think the driver that I was expecting a lot more movement, Michael Hayes here in the 48, still stuck in 19th position with Justin McMahon.
It is very surprising. Hayes had such good speed last season, so I'll have to see if he can get out of this funk here in the start. I mean, we did see this last season too a few times where he'd start farther out back and kind of just not make his way forward like we were expecting, and then all of a sudden the strategy would go his way and he'd be right up in the mix. So don't forget about Hayes. He definitely has a chance and an opportunity to continue to climb his way through, but definitely the driver that's been so to say climbing the most is we got our live point standings right there with Brandon 6 doing a great job still leading the points. Jamie Horn's made his way up 1 position with Fetterplace dropping down 3rd, but the driver I've been watching really gain spots and run really quick lap times. That's still the 66 of Shane Parrish. So he's up to 15th and starting to put a little pressure on Eric Warman. So we can see if that 66 continues his drive forward because the lap times are there.
Again, thank you to ATVO for giving us these graphics to be using as those live point standings. Such a fun feature. I know our producer, Robert Moyer Jr. in the background, always helping with the buttons, giving us the best angles we can see. He's been working on trying to make sure the point standings work as well, and getting to see them live. So interesting to watch how it's going to ebb and flow, and especially with this series on the fact that there is no playoffs, these live point standings are going to be very important, especially in the middle to the end of the season. But right now it's all Brandon 6 leading the charge in this race and leading in the points at this moment as we are 29 laps in, about to be starting lap 30 here shortly. And Zach, talking about positionings right now, some of the bigger movers, again, is Brandon Fetterplace, but if you're some drivers that backed off on your pace, I'm looking at an Andrew St. Cyr, Kevin Thompson, they were notoriously known for backing off and then having this incredible late run pace that just put them up front and challenging for the lead. I'm curious if they're going to have that surge, or is it a different team that's found ways to gain on our top competitors?
That's exactly right, and I think we're kind of seeing interesting things where certain drivers have kind of took off and ran fast lap times and starting to fall off, while others kind of gave up that time to make up that lap time. And I think you're really seeing that from the guys we talked about from Twisted Axle, Kevin Thompson and St. Cyr. St. Cyr in this world machine, I mean, he was stuck right up the tailpipe of the 06 for most of that run. Now he's dropped back to 4th with Kevin Thompson, who dropped back to 5th. is starting to climb his way forward. So it still shows, yes, the setups do matter for speed, so to say, but a lot of times it not only comes down to how you manage those tires. So we're seeing some of the drivers farther in the back making passes like Jeremiah Stutzman. Tire management is very critical still. If you got a fast setup, you got to be able to know how to manage the tires.
Stutzman, one of the drivers that's really been patient on his tire wear and being rewarded up 6 spots as he started all the way back in last place. But talking about the teammates of Twisted Axle, they run 3rd and 4th, but not for very long, I think, with Brandon Fetterplace right there, running almost a full half-second faster than this group. The 34 is looking like a rocket ship and finally is caught up to 3rd and 4th position.
That he is. Fetterplace looking very, very strong right now. I mean, from where he qualified, the lap times he's still running to come through the field like that, it is a good sign for this 34 as this race continues on. He's going to have to fight hard here to get past the 12 of St. Cour, who I think is overheated those tires just a little bit. So we'll see how that works out. But they're actually making contact. They're going to wreck.
They're going to keep it straight, somehow bouncing back into one another, straightened each other out. They're now going to continue on. Stephen Hayes has to back out of the corner because he wasn't sure where Fetterplace was going to be lining up. And now it's jumbled up. Everyone from about 5th on back have just closed in quickly. And somehow St. Cour, Fetterplace keep it straight, but they lose over a 1.5 seconds with that contact.
Adam Thompson, the 71, he said, "Thank you very much. I'll take all those spots up to 4th for him." As actually he gets in the wall there. This Fetterplace, I think, is trying to regain a little bit of momentum. Now he's going to have Stephen Hayes possibly look to the outside of that 34. And that slide that the 34 had can really overheat the tires. But farther back, Eric Anderson goes around and caution is out.
Caution is out, and he's still trying to get it pointed straight, but more drivers involved. That's going to be Mike Leftwich. Anderson locks up the brakes, and luckily no one else coming in hot to get contact. It's just a 2-driver incident, and that is your first ever caution at Nashville Super Speedway in 3 races. We knew there was a chance with the amount of drivers racing here tonight, and it's Eric Anderson, sadly, with how good he was running, it just does not hold together here. As see, this is around that jumbled up accordion effect of everyone just closing in on one another, and it's Christopher Simon going to the corner a little bit too hot that pushes the 43 around, and then behind them the 60 machine, and Mike Leftwich just didn't know where Anderson was going to go and comes piling in right behind.
Tough break there for both those drivers, and Anderson was struggling with those tires after starting out front there, really hurt the tires and got in that contact with Simon there. And then, of course, that contact from there spun him around. And then with Leftwich coming in there, that's where the damage really came in. So we'll see how he can rebound from this. But I tell you who does like this caution, not many other drivers do, but Brandon Bowie's definitely going to like to see that caution because he was definitely in a tough spot out where he was at.
I think Bowie, I think Brandon Fetterplace, and Brandon Six all were banking on a caution because Six was being ran down by Jamie Horn. And at some point, I think Horn was going to make a pass for the lead. This gives time for drivers to get into pit road, get 4 tires and fuel, and maybe even also think about making some adjustments if your car wasn't feeling that great or you're waiting for these conditions of now the nighttime is here. Those adjustments are going to be key as the race off of pit road. Going to be Six, going to be Horn, as well as going to be seeing Kevin Thompson. Still out on track, going to be Jeremiah Stutzman, looking to just lead a lap and then expected to pull into pit road to get service done. But Zach got 36 laps in. Our first caution comes out. Gotta say, that was basically what Nashville Super Speedway gives us most of the time, but that was some fun racing. We were starting to see with the tire wear starting to kick in there.
No doubt. That was definitely getting interesting. I tell you what, these guys better watch out for Jamie Horn. That, like you said, he was running Brandon Six down up front. He was climbing his way through, and Horn had to start 5th. So it wasn't like, you know, he just shot up through there. That car looks super good on the long run. So Jamie Horn, you know, he may not have got the win last season, may not get the win to open up our season with the charity race. And he's looking to continue some of that late season momentum he had. So this would be amazing to see him get up there and battle for a win because we know he's had the speed. It's just got to close the deal.
As drivers are crossing the line, it was going to be Stutzman finally pulling into pit road. So now your top 5 going to be Brandon Six, Jamie Horn, Kevin Thompson, Adam Thompson, and Brandon Fetterplace. Your top 5. as we get ourselves prepared for this restart. Again, thank you for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. If you're enjoying the broadcast, it would be very thankful for you to hit that like button. It helps us know you're enjoying the show. And if you would like to see some of our other broadcasts we cover throughout the week, Monday through Thursday, hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification button to be notified when we go live, as we give you 4 different leagues. From Monday night, the ISRC Truck Series, Tuesdays, the Challenger Racing League, as well as Wednesday with the WSSR, and Thursdays, you already know where we're at. We're giving you coverage of the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. But as the drivers get prepared, it's time for Brandon Six. Does he have a new contender behind him? Will Jamie Horn stay patient, or will he set the pace to go a little bit faster? It's time to see, as our first caution is done. It's time to get back to green flag action with Six, Horn, Thompson, and Fetter Place into the restart zone. We're green, and up front it's going to be Six. Another fantastic launch as he roars down into turn number 1.
Great start for Brandon there out front, and we'll see now with Kevin Thompson able to almost clear Jamie Horn. Will he move up to the second position? Is now even Fetter Place. He's trying to follow through on the bottom and try to get maybe up to third. So great launch there from the 6 and the 34. Those two continuing forward, and we'll see who has what for that 06 out front, because, man, I'll tell you what, it was getting very, very interesting for the lead late there into that run. We'll see now who's got something else.
And this is something similar that we saw kind of last week at Indianapolis, with the difference of drivers that were really strong late in the race. They were all scattered throughout the field, and they finally all came to a collective at the halfway to the 3/4 mark of the race being done, as that was a little bit of lag that happened there with the driver freaking out in the middle of the pack. There are some drivers. Main driver Shane Parrish has been having really bad connection issues. He's been blinking ridiculously bad. I believe that was the driver we saw kind of flailing up as Hunter Simpson gets into the outside wall off of 4. That's going to be distracting for the drivers if you're racing around that 66. It's in 11th place, but up front, it's all 6 and Thompson as Fetter Place rocketing on the outside, and almost it looks to be finally clear for that battle going on for 4th.
I think if you're Jamie Horn, you just got to kind of solidify where you're at right now. That was close right there, almost contact between those guys heading down to 3. And as I say, Horn just needs to hold on to 4th. He moves himself back to 3rd. So he does exactly what he needs to do there, gets back into position, because I tell you what, he was very, very quick on the long run. I think he just needs to let this run play out, and he should have another good shot at it here, unless these other drivers made some good adjustments or just make that driving style change to help out their tires. But Kevin Thompson up front, he's looking to the inside of Brandon Six. He wants to take the lead.
And as the battle for the lead is Thompson. Thompson wants that clean air, wants to be up front. This is a great challenge. Update for one of the drivers that was inside of our top 10 on the restart. Christopher Lethwich caught with a neck code contact between himself and Tyler Millette 2 laps ago. The 8 spins around, he falls to 27, but the battle for the lead is still on, and it's Kevin Thompson almost fully clear as they'll still drag race into turn number 3. Backing off quickly, trying to make sure they hit the corner, and here we go. The rocket off the exit of the corner. Does 6 do a little bit of side drafting? Looks like they play neat and tidy, and the 06 still holds strong.
Great job by Brandon here in the 06 machine to really hold the positioning over the 6 of Kevin Thompson here, and it's going to be important to do, because if you can hold that clean air, it's really going to matter, and I think that's why he's fighting so hard for it. As you see down the back straightaway, he's almost getting a full car length ahead as he drives into 3, clears the 6 of Kevin Thompson, puts the air on the nose, and watch that 06. It goes straight up the racetrack as soon as you put the air on him. That almost opens up the door for Jamie Horn.
Almost did. Hopefully for Thompson, he was expecting to hit the throttle, and it did not turn. It just plowed straight up, and now the 6 going to try to attempt to the outside, and saw it work for 6. Might as well give it your own chance, and almost into the outside wall was Thompson, and that gives the opportunity that Horn was hoping for. A little bit of a mistake by the 6 machine, trying the same move the 06 pulled. Might be hurting him, but they still fight on for 2nd.
That they do. This is some crazy fights going on. Is now Fetter Place going to take it all the way onto the apron here to get below Jamie Horn, as everybody's trying to take advantage of little differences in speed, and we're almost going to be 3 wide as Thompson's trying to clear that 2nd row, but they might be able to do it, as now Thompson finally does clear. He's going to slide up in the 3rd of the 6 machine, and now the 98 and the 34 going at it, almost getting into the 6 again.
Ah, man, these drivers are almost a stack 3 wide. If we can get the ride along is something that we're trying to get all the pictures of seeing these drivers on top of one another, but they continue to be side by side and almost a stack 3 wide again as Horn has to back out. Thompson can't go any higher than that. If he does, he's going to be losing too much momentum and spacing in the 6th. Defends, and they fight on once again. Now with that huge run by Thompson, he was almost side by side for the lead as the 06 of 6. He now needs to get driving a little bit defensive here.
This is wild stuff. You've got Hunter Simpson in the 5 coming into the picture here as we ride on board Federer Place. You can see the 5 behind him looking in the mirror, trying to make the maneuver here. But just, I think everybody's so stacked up that it's kind of slowing everybody down. And caution's out.
And it's going to be Christopher Simon once again involved in an incident as he will be finding himself running into Steven Bonomo, who initially found himself with Mark going to be Dumont. Wrecking spinning was the 6, getting back out on track and getting right into Christopher Simon.
Tough break for Christopher Simon. Just wrong place, wrong time. But I'll tell you what, you kind of expected to see a few yellows tonight with the bigger size of the fields, and this is what can happen sometimes. But you're going to see here from Simon, you know, as the 60 gets in the wall there, Simon's kind of exiting forward, but up ahead is the contact into Bonomo, and then you're going to see he comes from the grass up back onto the racetrack, and the 27 of Christopher Simon nowhere to go for him.
Absolutely nowhere to go. I'm curious if we can maybe get a sky view blimp or something here, because the 9 was trying to move going down. It's going to be a little bit of a wiggle in front of, looks like Justin McMahon getting into Mark Dumont. They get sideways. Dumont overcorrects back to the 9. And then I don't know if maybe the steering's broken, but he goes straight back up the track. And Simon, the innocent victim of that one.
Yeah, I actually think it was broke on the right front there, Sam. At least from what I can see, it looks like the right front suspension of that race car did break under that contact from the 14. And I think he really, from there, had no control on getting that car back together. But tough break right here as you see that contact that takes Bonomo into the grass, and from there he's steering left. That car ain't going left.
Zero steering, and it just does not want to come together. Instead, contact by the 9 and 27 that will bring out our second caution of the day, as we will find ourselves seeing the drivers. Some decide to go into pit road, top off on fuel. A few going to be taking tires, but majority of the field stays out. As they're getting service done, we will take ourselves our first service of a commercial break as we're getting close to the halfway of tonight's race. I say thank you to everyone that's been joining with us so far here tonight, watching the Shawnee Doghouse Cup Series. This is race 2 of the 2024 season 2 of the True Patriot 175. We'll be back right after this. More Nashville Super Speedway racing action. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series for the 2024 Season 2. You're watching race number 2, the True Patriot 175. I want to say thank you to Shoney's True Patriot Apparel and Gifts, SSR Designs, Butt Kicker, and Nap Daddy Racing Designs. As the pace car pulls into pit road, we get ready to go green. Your top 17 drivers did not pit. Rest of the field came into pit road for fuel, except for one. Justin McMahon, the 24, only driver to take tires under that caution. We'll see if it backfires or maybe gives an advantage as we're back to green flag action. And it's 6, Fetter Place, Horn, rocking it out at turn number 2 as the rest of the field, watch out. Oh no, just gonna be Hunter Simpson. Spun around right in front of the field and they're still wrecking.
Oh no, that is the worst case scenario there. Hunter Simpson was running so good before that incident, and next thing you know, it just one small little bump. I think it was from Adam Thompson. As we get a chance to go look back at this, but I think some contact from the 71 into the 5, and that's what's going to send him around and collect a few others, such as Jonathan Smith and Shane Parrish. As you see Parrish up there blinking, kind of stay out the way of everybody. You're going to kind of have this restart a little bit stacked up there on the outside, and the bottom not getting the greatest roll there from that 3rd row on back. The 5 here are going to be just in line. Going to go down to the corner, and I think the 71 just going to try to go in much deeper and just misjudgment right there of the entry, and he's going to spend the 5 and collect a few others. Man, that is tough.
Parrish, Jonathan Smith getting some hard contact, and Parrish again was notified by a lot of drivers of the massive blinking that was going on, forcing them to stay high. And here's some of the other drivers' point of view of watching this, as interesting core watching ahead of them. I mean, you're looking for chances to avoid an incident that just happens so quickly, as here's going to be going around. And I noticed also, Zach, there's been a lot of net code going out there on track where drivers visibly aren't making contact with one another, but it's reacting like they're making contact, and multiple drivers spun out there, bring out this yellow, but big contact mainly to Hunter Simpson and others out there on course.
That's for sure. And also we had the 6 of Thompson go around too. He got involved and he just lost it kind of after missing that wreck, and Justin McMahon kind of got into him, and I knew McMahon had just got that damage fixed on the nose of his race car after having that front center punch damage earlier, and boom, Thompson makes a mistake, comes back up into him, and now he's got a little bit more damage. That's a tough break if you're Justin McMahon. And if you are the likes of, you know, the 12 of St. Core and Kevin Thompson, you pitted now, it kind of made everything worse for you, because you almost get caught up in the wreck. And if you're Kevin Thompson, you do get caught up in the wreck. So it's like one of those situations that is very tough to put yourself in. We'll just have to see now what the field out front does. Of course, they're all going to, I think, stay out for the time being due to that quick yellow.
Yeah, I mean, for the drivers up front, we've had 2 cautions now since they've ran green, which means they've only really put in maybe 9 to potentially 10 laps of green flag racing on these tires, as our first official DNF of the evening will be Shane Parrish, who disconnects from the server, still getting repairs done, as Mike Leftwich, Steve Bonomo, Christopher Simon, as Steve Bonomo and Simon both still have required damage, and still also getting repairs is Jonathan Smith with his optional, and also Hunter Simpson, and just now entering pit road is Jeremiah Stutzman. But you know, seeing the field with where they're at right now, tire wears, we haven't had a true attempt yet on what the tire difference might be for some. Those that topped off on our last caution, I think that's going to be the interesting group, with Michael Hayes, as well as seeing Andrew St. Core and Kevin Thompson. With them just topping off and giving up all this track position, I'm not really seeing an advantage with the way that this race has been running so far.
That's for sure. And these caution laps are not helping their case of topping off. You know, this is just allowing everybody to get that much closer to try to make it to their number on fuel. So, you know, right now our leaders have been out there for 19 laps. A lot of them have not been green flag laps. So that right there saves a ton of fuel. And in my opinion, we're getting close to probably where these drivers can make it still just on one stop, such as St. Core and Kevin Thompson. So we'll see how those strategies play out, or do they end up actually benefiting from that. So we'll just have to see what the fuel mileage is like here for tonight. Again, nighttime race, a little bit faster, a little bit more fuel usage, so that's always interesting to see. But tough last caution there, as it looks like Shane Parrish is running behind the wall.
Parrish is done for the evening. For the drivers up front, still have a total of 23 drivers on the lead lap for this restart. Let's get a sense of how this field's going to be rolling. You're up front. It's going to be Brandon Six, Brandon Fetterplace, as well as Jamie Horn, Stephen Hayes, all getting ready for this restart for themselves. Again, already talked about. Big thank you to Shoney's, to True Patriot Apparel and Gifts, and SSR Designs. Also, big thank you to Butt Kicker. If you've never heard about Butt Kicker, well, it is one of the biggest products that gets pushed around in iRacing. It is a physical object that you connect to your racing rig that enables you to feel, not just hear, your sounds of your racing simulator, or also just watching or listening to videos. It vibrates and allows you to feel when maybe your chat tires are chattering, or if you need to make small adjustments. Go check out Butt Kicker today on buttkicker.com. Feel what you've been missing. As the field's ready to go green, here we go. It is Six, Fetterplace, going to be side-by-side, Horn, Stephen Hayes, Bowie. I think that's the big name to watch out. What does Brandon Bowie have for our front contenders? This is the first time in the top 5 here tonight.
This is going to be interesting to see. Last week, he was so quick at Indianapolis. Had it all come to an abrupt halt there. Had to hit pit road. And we'll see if Bowie can be a factor here tonight. Of course, already climbing his way masterfully through the field as he slide jobs the 13 of Stephen Hayes. Moves his way up to 4th. Bowie now on the pursuit. He's got Fetterplace and Brandon Six, his 2 teammates ahead. But Jamie Horn looks like the challenger these drivers are going to have to deal with.
Jamie Horn right on the back up for Brandon Six, but is it still pace yourself time, or do you want to get up front as quickly as possible? We've seen clean air be important for Brandon Six, but he does not want to give up that top position. Also, we see Brandon Fetterplace, who runs in 3rd position, trying their best as the Brandons are all up front in our top 4. We got 3 of them wanting to make sure the lead driver at some point, but they'll stay in line. Same for the rest of the field, as there's a small gaggle starting to mount up around 10th place position. And on the outside, it's the 03 of Brian Dixon, as well as Clune. We got Atwood and Nick Lachelle going to be those drivers to watch out for that are side by side. And even behind them, you've got also the likes of Christopher Leftwich, who at one moment spun out, fell all the way back to last place. He's just outside of the top 10.
That he is. That 8 machine making his way right back up into the mix show. It's got Cameron King, Daniel Wilkerson, all these drivers right here in the top 15. Warman's battling back there with Andy Corn. Dermott is trying to come back forward. Same with Justin McMahon, who does have fresher tires than these guys. So we'll see if the 24 can be on the move here, as he looks to the inside of Andy Cork. But this back mid half of the field, very much under flux.
They're trying to make these passes as soon as possible, recognizing, okay, tire wear is going to be a big thing here in the next couple of laps. With trouble strikes, oh, it's Nicholas Atwood into the grass. We stay green as all the drivers spinning out or in the grass, not on the racing surface. But trouble really hits Cameron King and Nicholas Atwood as they're trying to get rolling. They're still spinning out in the grass as Cameron King finally gets rolling, but caution flag is finally thrown.
Caution there thrown, and the admins felt like there was enough there for a caution to come out, and that's definitely going to help out the likes of Atwood and King get caught back up. But tough break right there, Sam, for those two as they end up in the grass. And it was just due to some really hard racing that was going on there. I think Schnell in the 58 got into the 19, as we'll go back here and look. And you see the 19 up into the wall in the exit. He comes down into the front of the 92 of Cameron King, and it's just wrong place, wrong time once again for one of these drivers.
And drivers of the radio say multiple drivers involved in throwing the yellow with this spin, and it's a small little tap. I think for some of these drivers, maybe they forgot when the last time they were in pit road. The grip levels are not the same as they were 20 laps ago, and the drivers getting tight off the exit of the corner, getting into one another.
Tough break there for sure. And you know, cautions breed cautions, man. That's the truest statement ever made in racing. And where you're going to get the most action, in my opinion, here at Nashville Super Speedway is on these restarts. When everybody's stacked up side by side fighting for positions on the bottom, it's always very, very interesting to see, you know, how that, you know, dynamic is. So it's always restarts that kind of breed the drama. And tonight, it's been a little bit of that action that's kept everybody side by side, and a few beating and banging moments turn into others going around.
As joining with Shane Parrish, Hunter Simon calling it a night as multiple drivers entering pit road. They got some little piece of the contact, or at least got into the wall. I saw a couple of drivers get into that outside wall, and also for some, this is a dynamic time of the race as we are at the halfway zone of tonight's race. When we go back to green flag racing, some drivers deciding to use their second set. They only had 3 to work with in pit road, and some might be, after this pit stop, left with just 1 set of tires to the end of this race.
Cool. And you got half the race, you know, left. That is a tough position to put yourself in, Sam. So doesn't give you many options, but we'll see how these drivers play with them. I mean, it's, you know, only 4 sets when you come in here tonight, so a lot of drivers have already used technically 2 sets of tires due to their first set coming off the race car and then putting on a second set. So while some, like you said, others have used their third, and that will put you with only 1 set left. In this track, again, very abusive on the tires, so you want to have as many fresh tires available to you at the end of this race, especially if we kind of continue of a trend of getting a few yellow flags here and there. You're going to want to have those fresh tires to march your way back through.
Oh, you will for sure. As those drivers that decided to take tires, Chris Leftwich in 18th, 19th being Nicholas Schell, as well as Daniel Wilkerson deciding to use their sets of tires. We'll see how the rest of the field is going to react, as our top going to be at 9 are haven't pitted since lap 28. A few other drivers mixed in between came in and topped off on fuel. That's 10th all the way down to 14th. They topped off on fuel 15 laps ago. And there's a couple of drivers that mixed in between, that being Justin McMahon, who took tires and fuel. He finds himself in 11th place. As take a look at the last laps that these drivers were in pit road to get service done, and like you can see here, Zach, I mean, majority of the drivers up front, it was around that lap 37 marker that they made the pit stop. That was our first caution of the day. Everyone else, that mixed and mingled just because of either getting damage repair, topped off on fuel, or right now, taking a risk and a gamble, taking a set of tires.
That's for sure. We'll see how McMahon can do. I mean, he's up to 11th with those fresher tires, pitted at 55, so we'll see if he can take use of those and try to maneuver his way farther up front and get that track position. So it's been a very interesting night, so to say, here so far, as we get everything double file back up and get ready for another restart at this racetrack.
Tonight, again, the night started with us going from that day to night transition, where the drivers were dealing with the sun starting to set. And as we're fully setted, here's what the weather looks like currently right now. Ambient temperature being 84 degrees Fahrenheit. Track temp around 87 degrees Fahrenheit. The wind staying pretty stable at 5 miles per hour northwest. Humidity at 40% for tonight's race. And big thing about the track temp, it hasn't really changed a lot, I would say, Zach, from when the sun was out. Maybe only maybe a degree or 2 has it cooled off.
Yeah, exactly right, Sam. It really hasn't cooled off too much, and we'll just get to see, you know, how that works. They've got a great graphic there to kind of show what's going on. It just only dropping that 1 degree, and it's really not going to have too big of an effect. So we'll see how that works out. Again, once these race cars get going, they can warm it right back up.
After re-looking at the incident, it's going to be Nicholas Atwood deemed at fault. He will have an EOL penalty sent to the end of the line. But up front, it's Brandon 6, Jamie Horn, and then the Brandons behind, getting ready to go back to green flag racing. And once again, it's 6 who just continues to hit every restart perfectly. Everyone else just seems to hit a wall once they try to hit the accelerator.
They really do. It's very interesting to see that, because 6 just flying out there when it comes to those restarts. But Feder places teammate now right in the mix up to second. Horns drop back to third. Brandon Bowie looking for that third position on Jamie Horn down in a 3, and Bowie definitely trying to get early goal, but it's going to be contact.
Horn and Bowie get into one another. Horn continues trying to save. They're going to get squeezed further on back for 5th place. They're almost 3, while potentially 4th. They get in line, but some drivers still beating and banging. It's going to be Justin McMahon to the inside. They're going to be 3 wide, 4 wide, and watch out for the middle as they exit at turn number 2. It's Eric Warman with the big save. Horn still trying to save it. Same going to be seeing the 12 of St. Coeur, but they all get back in line. They survive through 1 and 2 and back into turn 3. What could have been, what should have been, we stay green otherwise, and it's now the Brandons leading 1, 2, 3 of 6. 5th place in Bowie.
Man, oh man, that's so tough for Jamie Horn there. That was some net code contact between him and Brandon Bowie. That slides him back here all the way to the 10th position. The 98 looked to be one of the quickest cars on the long run. He's going to have to show that now as he's got a long march back forward as McMahon. One of the drivers trying to make big moves also on the fresher tires, working this outside groove. He's now trying to get to the outside of the 71 of Adam Thompson, also along with the 45 of Gary Clune as Thompson into the outside wall off of 4.
McMahon following in suit. That outside wall just continues to creep out for a lot of these drivers. As for Justin McMahon, yes, you've used a set of tires, but using them up on the outside this much, gotta be careful. As sorry, the camera getting me at least a little bit confused there for a second as Justin McMahon continues trying to work the outside as our producer Robert Morey Jr. having fun with the cameras and messing with us as he's having fun with his joystick as you're seeing drivers once again side by side and battling against one another.
Definitely some great side-by-side battles there as McMahon still trying to work that outside line. Michael Hayes, though, he's got a good run in the 48 around the top, and he's going to look to take a few positions. But Horn also in the 98 trying to follow him through. So everybody right now looking for that outer groove to make some passes right now as everybody pushing these race cars to try to gain some track position back.
With all the fiasco of seeing Jamie Horn fall back, it's really opened up a gap of the battling from our top 3 compared to the rest of the field. From 5th on back, you're seeing this battle of Clune, McMahon really on top of one another. Adam Thompson and Michael Hayes. Talking about when Hayes is going to make that push forward. Well, the 48 is there. He's got Jamie Horn trying to push the 48 even more forward if possible, but it's the slight contacts, it's the wiggling. Watch out as, oh boy, Hayes was thinking about 3 wide off the exit. Horn continues to get muscled around as they continue to stay side by side. This is just battling for 5th place. Our top 4 just scamper away with all of this action.
That they are, that top 4 just driving away. Stephen Hayes kind of in his own no man's land. Their top 3 kind of all grouped up together, but this grouping from 6th on back is just on top of one another. And at some point, there's going to be a caution as the 98 of Horn gets into the 48 of Hayes, but he saves it. Millette goes around the outside. Horn again losing a ton of spots, and it's all breaking down for the 98 this run.
Horn gets into Dixon, and Brian Dixon's the one who's the biggest loser of all of that. Goes from battling within our top 15 to now almost outside of the top 20, and it's just one little mistake. Drivers are not officially making contact, but it's net code. Drivers being so close to one another that when there's an internet little bit of a blip sometimes, internet connection isn't always fluid on a straight scale, and you can find where your hitbox of your car is invisible compared to where it looks visually on the sim, and cause contacts, and drivers are feeling the hurt right now as we ride on board with 11th place runner in the 12 machine of Andrew St. Coeur, and Coeur has had a couple of moments of sliding here or there, and right now he's trying to just continue to latch on to the rear bumper of his teammate of Kevin Thompson to push forward.
That is St. Coeur trying to make his way back forward, and a twisted axle car having an up and down night so far with him and his teammate Kevin Thompson. So it's been one of the nights that I think he's going to definitely learn a lot from, just due to that early run kind of struggling a little bit as the run got farther in, but we'll see if he's fixed up what went wrong that first run. Is now they're trying to climb their way back through. But Warman up there, he had a chance at that 94 of Millette, but just couldn't get the job done.
Get the job done, but seeing these drivers still stacked up on one another. Again, this is all 4th on back. They're having these battles against one another on who's going to be in the better position. You even see further on back of drivers trying to make some big moves. The 8 of Chris Leftwich, and there were a couple of drivers that did take tires as Warman has a big slide for himself, and again, these drivers are just making small contacts here and there. Horn now going to be getting pushed by the 14 of Mark Dumont in that group that we're just looking at. Watch out, they're squeezing against one another, and they're just giving enough space to get through the corner. But every time they go into turns 1 or turn 3, there are a lot of really different braking zones that we're seeing right now that's kind of backing up this field.
It really is, and a few people getting in a little too hot, washing up to people on the outside of them. It's definitely a lot of mistakes being made, but I think it's because we're in the last half of the race now. Everybody knows it's go time. They don't have that many sets of tires as farther back. Brian Dixon looks like he had some issues in that 03. He's dropping farther back, but this grouping right here is definitely a calamity because it is everybody going for positions that they know they need to get back, such as Jamie Horn, Andrew St. Core, the 6 is Kevin Thompson. They know they need these spots back if they want to go up there and compete with that Brandon Bowie esports team. We'll see how they can do it.
As Bowie, as well as Fetter Place in 6, just in their own zip code up front in line. This is where the chaos has been rumbling for the last 15 laps. Drivers not really given enough spacing at moments. Everyone trying to make the biggest move they can to move forward, but that outside wall, every lap is just screaming out for somebody to hit it. And you know somebody's going to accidentally linger a little bit too high, get in the gas a little too soon, and bounce off that outside wall, and it's most likely going to be someone who's already there. So Tyler Millette, as well as Kevin Thompson, both in a tricky spot where they want to get into the throttle to make sure they carry as much speed as possible, but you also don't want to be the driver that slams that wall and comes careening back into the rest of the field.
That's exactly right. We've seen that a few times tonight. Someone getting the outside wall, come back down and take out a few drivers. So tough position to be in for sure for one of those, but it's looking like one of those nights that it's tough to stay out of that outside wall or make the mistakes when this concrete racing surfaces. The 6 of Kevin Thompson working that outer groove now. He's trying to make the pass on the 71 of Adam Thompson. He's got his teammate Andrew St. Core there behind, but looks like the 6 going to have the drive through 3 and 4 and possibly going to be able to hold on to that 7th position. But the 71 fight backs once again is the 6 a little tight off exit.
A little bit side off, and then you also have the magnet, the 45 of Gary Clune ahead of him in that purple machine. And looking at Gary Clune tonight, it just feels like when there's been a driver spinning around, it's been either off the corner panel, off the nose, and why not try 3 wide with the driver stuck in the middle as they're going to continue to put the pressure, and Kevin Thompson keeps his foot in the throttle, able to pass both drivers, and that's what he needed. Get clear and now drive away.
Adam Thompson saying, man, I thought I had the 6, now I'm battling the 45. So it's one of those positions where you didn't lose anything technically, but you're trying to fight still forward. Here's the 45 doing a good job of defending. We also got the 12 of St. Core trying to come from behind this group, and it is all stacked up still as Thompson's finally breathing a sigh of relief because he's gotten out of the melee.
As they continue to race back and forth on which positions they're going to be in. This field really trying to just stay in line, but it is Gary Clune and Adam Thompson that are going to be side by side for now. Who is going to be solidified for 7th place, or could we see a twisted axle driver on twisted axle driver incident as Clune as well as St. Core on the outside groove trying to push forward?
It's really stacking up right now. Thompson trying to clear, and it's going to be Clune who does, and now the 12 of St. Core jumps to the top. Everybody's stacking up, though. You can see just Warman with a big run on the tie side. You got the 94 of Millette, the 48 of Michael Hayes. You also got the 98 of Horn coming back in the picture. So all these drivers just stacked one on top of another. It just seems like once they get past Thompson and Clune, it really starts to single file out.
It does. You start to find your own spacing, get a little bit of clearance. You can really focus on your own drive, but it is really turning into just a squash match of who can get by who, as we're trying to watch these battles happen. But every time it starts to get a little bit crazy, we go to a static cam on the side as we see the drivers doing their best to get by Clune. It's looking tough on the inside. Thompson, though, every fight, this 71 has got to be careful. These tires have been worn down with every fight possible. He's been 3 wide, he's been 2 wide. I'm worried for Adam Thompson that he might get a little bit too greedy here going for a pass, and the rubber, it just isn't there for those types of moves. It might drift up.
That's for sure. We've seen a lot of those issues tonight so far, and don't want to see that pop up once again as Thompson now finally going to solidify back behind the 45, but I don't think that battle was done yet. I think The 45 and the 71 are kind of stuck together, so to say, is now Thompson up ahead of him. He has been making some ground up. He's able to get past Justin and McMahon now, who McMahon better tires than Thompson. This is impressive to see.
Kevin Thompson has been slipping and sliding back and forth, but again, we know Justin McMahon pushed those tires aggressively on the outside, trying to get by all of this field that now is starting to catch back up to the 24, as well as we see McMahon trying to get the damage repair on the front nose that he grabbed earlier in this race. But Andrew St. Cour got to be right on that back bumper, and that's the driver in my mind that we really got to keep our eyes on. St. Cour is really muscling and finding some good pace. It's just once he finally got by Clune, that's when the pace really started to ramp up.
That's exactly right. It really has. And oh man, the 12, big move there. St. Cour just completely clearing the 24. That's exactly what you want to do to make the pass. And if you're McMahon, you're starting to struggle a little bit right now. I think he really pushed that race car to get, use up those fresh tires and get up there and get that track position. Now it seems like it's really starting to fade away for him, as again, behind him, Adam Thompson, Gary Clune continue their battle that just seems never ending, so to say, with along with Michael Hayes and Tyler Millette right behind, and even Jamie Horn starting to come back forward. It's really stacking up once again for these positions.
I mean, this gaggle of cars giving a little bit more space, but we're starting to see more and more drivers each and every lap slam that outside wall. So we know the grip levels are diminishing as the night progresses on. But Zach, this is the big question I have for you. We've had multiple cautions come out. Is our top three, who have yet to pit since lap 37, are they thinking about pushing this all the way to the end? Or is everyone in the field still thinking we have one more pit stop before the night's over?
I think everybody feels like we got one more pit stop. I think really the shortest stint we have out there right now is about a 27-lap stint. That's going to be Kevin Thompson. He came in last time by. He's up to 5th. There's a few guys farther back who also have 27 laps on their tire, or 27 laps on their stint. I don't think they'll be able to stretch these last 40 laps out after that. I think the reason why we were able to see some of the group up front, go 54 laps right now is due to those cautions. So I would say pit road's going to probably get busy within the next 10 laps, especially the farther we get, the closer we get to 30 to go. You don't want to wait too long for those pit stops, but it is a catch-22 as you see the battling now going on with Fetter Place and Brandon Six up front. If you pit a little bit too early and you get caught out by a caution, you will be a lap down.
It can be very hurtful. This is the first time I've really seen Brandon Fetterplace be able to get side by side with Six on this run. It's been a 34 right on the back bumper as they've been pulling away from the rest of the field. Bowie has also just been lingering behind, waiting for these two to finally get to this motion of it is go time. It's time to battle who will be solidified for the lead. And once again, Brandon Six just too strong on the outside and continues to defend. But when you have the driver behind trying to work on the outside groove, they just don't have the power. They don't have that confidence that we've seen from the Six just every time hitting his marks.
That's for sure. Brandon Six has been amazing on that outside line. And the key to the outside is really you got to get into the corner deeply, but you can't get in there too deep. If you mess up the center and overdrive that entry in that center, you won't get the great run like you see a lot of times from that top side off. So it's really a work of art sometimes to keep people side by side, and the 06 has done a masterful job of it so far. As you can see, Bowie there last time in 1 and 2, he tried something a little different. He went to that third lane trying to find some clean air, maybe find a little grip. It didn't work out the best. Now has to run middle to bottom here on 3 and 4 to try to find that grip.
Green flag pit stops are underway as drivers over the radio letting people know we are entering pit road now. Kevin Thompson as well as Gary Clune, most twisted axle into pit road. But the first driver that indicated I'm pitting, Jamie Horn, got ran over as he was trying to slow down into pit entry, spun around before he even got to pit road. No yellow was thrown, but a massive loss of time for Jamie Horn, whose night went from looking so glorious to just up in smoke in an instant.
It's so tough to see for Jamie Horn there, Sam, for sure. It's one of those situations that you never know when it's going to play out like that for a driver.
As more drivers are entering pit road, Adam Thompson going to be the next to make his box. Our top three going to be seeing Horn trying to at least get one of these laps back. Currently 2 laps down is the 98. as Brandon Bowie gonna go high, giving space for Brandon Fetterplace to go to pit road. Oh no! Fetterplace wrecks! The rest of the field is charging his way. Yellow flag is thrown, and oh no! For the 34, more contact, and they just continue to pile in. No radio call, and drama mounts up. What is going on?
Oh no, that's a tough sight to see, especially with the yellow coming out so much earlier than that. You got to be paying attention forward. I don't know if the vision wasn't there with being behind a few cars, but two drivers they're coming in late. It looks like Millette was the first one to come in, and then the next one was the 92 of Cameron King. So Brandon Fetterplace, huge mistake, making that mistake, getting the pit road, trying to get down there, and that is going to ruin his race.
It's just, as you see here, everyone was trying to give space, and it went wrong quickly. As trying to go into pit road, you're gonna see trying to slow down, but gets on the brakes and spins out. What's the 34? And then oncoming traffic, we look over and pan, and you're gonna see the likes of Millette pushing up the 34 and just nowhere for anyone to react to. But the caution had been out for so long, I don't think anyone knew where the 34 was. I'm surprised. I was listening to the radio. No one said where we were seeing Fetterplace be parked. It was just a simple good luck that everyone gets through.
Tough break there for sure. I mean, you know, race-ending damage, it looks like, for a few of these guys because of how big that hit was. I don't know if Fetterplace will be able to get that car back going. Doesn't look like a required damage flag or meatball flag we would normally see. So sometimes these cars could be resilient, and even without a front end, still have some speed. So we'll see how that shakes out. But it looks like some strategy here. Stephen Hayes taking the lead off pit road. I don't think
he missed his box.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't see a pit stop time there for him, so I think that was a missing of the box. And that's tough, too, because Hayes was right up there in the top 5.
As this is your live timing board. I think we'll use the live timing for standings later on in the season, but it's so cool to look at with drivers, again, still getting in and out of their boxes. Brandon 6 still your leader, as Brandon Fetterplace, even with that damage, him falling back to 22nd position, still running second in points. But for us up at the booth, we will take our final commercial break of the evening as we get ourselves prepared for the final surge. 30 laps will be left to go when we come back for more great racing action as you're watching the True Patriot 175 here at Nashville Super Speedway. We will be back after this. Thank you so much for joining with us. We'll go side by side. We'll be back in just a few.
5 wide behind for fifth.
Oh my, the 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work. They make it last, bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here, coming off a 4. That's it.
It's bottom line, here it comes.
Oh, no, Carter gets wrecked. It's going to be that Nick Crumford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Trinity diving down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes. Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck it.
Oh, they wrecked. They wrecked each other. The top two bounced into one another. Just too much of side drifting off of, and they got to be careful. Oh no, the 4 demolishes in the 28. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me up in the booth is Zach Hall, and running productions in the background is Robert Moyer Jr. You're watching the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series on Thursday night. This is your 2024 Season 2 Race 2, the True Patriot 175 at Nashville Super Speedway. Currently, it's the Brandons that have been up front for most of the night. You got Brandon 6, Brandon Bowie going to be your front 2, but our last caution taking out Brandon Fetterplace as he still sits in pit road. It's now given with that late caution a chance for some other drivers to contend. It was the two of our three drivers that raced for a championship last season. Andrew St. Cyr, Michael Hayes, they're up front, and also surprising back in 5th is Justin McMahon. But our top 4 really had their own race going on as they're closing in on 21 laps to go. Zach, this is coming down the crunch time, and really this has been impressive to see St. Cyr and Hayes up front this late on.
That it is. St. Cyr has been grinding his way back up to the front, and Hayes having one of those Michael Hayes moments where in the middle of the race, early beginnings, He's back in the top 15s. And then all of a sudden, right here at the end, he's fighting for a top 5, possibly even a win. So we saw it multiple times from him last season, right back into the mix, and a little bit loose there off of 2 as he's trying to keep up with these front 3 who have been so quick all night. Bowie and 6 out front have been just dominant when it comes to the speed, along with Brandon Fetterplace. Those 3 as teammates looking to be a strong trio this season. But Fetterplace's mistake, it's opened up the door for St. Cyr and Michael Hayes to get into the mix. We'll see if a few others can drive their way up here.
As we continue to watch this battling up front, right on board, St. Cyr who's trying to run down our top 2, and really the best time they ran down was when Bowie decided to finally go for attempts at passes. Curious if the 54 is going to wait for later on. As we were under that commercial break, Bowie did set the fastest lap of the night, and I mean, a little bit of an extra boost to the fastest lap might have hurt him, but I know also during that run, St. Cyr and Hayes also put down one of their fastest laps, and they were just a couple of hundreds of seconds off of Bowie's fastest lap. So there is a lot of speed up front, and we knew with the nighttime coming around that the cooler temperatures would enable some faster machines to be out on track, as some other drivers shockingly inside of our top 10 haven't been there all night long. Daniel Wilkerson in the 28, he has had a very quiet night, but finds himself rolling in 8th place.
Wilkerson having a great run as the contact's going to be made there off of 4 between him and the 28 and the 71 of Adam Thompson. So Wilkerson and Thompson are coming to blows off of 4, but that'll be setting Wilkerson back tonight. Nicholas Schnell now trying to find his way forward in the 58, but great runs right now for Daniel Wilkerson. He would love to bring home a top 10 this early in the season. That definitely help out the points case heading into the next race, and that's the key here at Doghouse. If you want a good points finish, you want a solid points season, it's all about consistency, and you can't, every race is worth the same. There's no winning you're in, there's no playoffs, there's none of that. Every race is weighted the same, and every race is a championship race, if you ask me.
It really is. I mean, last season it came down to missing a race for St. Cyr and for Michael Hayes on why they really missed out on a chance to win point against Kevin Thompson, who showed up for every race, won most of the races, and that 6 machine was able to crown himself the 2024 Season 1 champion. And a lot of these other drivers trying to rebound. I mean, Daniel Wilkerson just 2 seasons ago was fighting for a championship, finishing inside of the top 3 in points. He is a driver that can find that consistency. It's just been a rough last season, and this season hoping for a big turnaround if possible, but it all starts here for race number 2. I have a rough, get me race to start the season off, but after that, it is all go mode as the battle for 9th place continues to rage back and forth. Our top 4 still within 7/10 of one another, but deeper in the field, you can see Atwood caught up in earlier incidences. Also, Corcu's had a pretty quiet night. This is the battle for 16th, and also behind them, you got Mark Dumont trying to push up the 03 of Dixon as lap cars getting pushed around by the last lead lap driver.
Wow, this is definitely some great battling going on farther back here as these guys try to find any little position they can. Cork and Atwood side by side, and it's really tough to pass here. The bottom is the preferred lane around here, but the outside is definitely the preferred way to defend. So it puts that guy on the bottom side in a tough position, and it's just really hard. It is, we got some great racing up here now as St. Cyr has found his way around Brandon Bowie. I don't know if Bowie had a mistake off of 4. Yeah, I went back and looked at it, a little bit loose off of 4. That opened up the door for St. Cyr down the front straightaway. He makes the move up the second. Now we'll see if Bowie can defend Hayes.
As all night long for some drivers, it has been in pit road getting service done, if that's repairs, adjustments, small little increments to get your car right for these final moments. And Bowie, who worked all night long to get through traffic, now being hunted and hounded by some of the top contenders of the series. It was Michael Hayes, the shining rookie last season, that tried to win his championship under his first go. And now you got 2 rookies that are up front being challenged by one of the veterans and one driver that wants redemption, as Michael Hayes tries to set up to get by this 54 of Bowie. And 6, who leads this race, Andrew St. Cyr, is right there. The 12, he's pitted 7 times here tonight. 2 times for tires. The rest going in for repairs, adjustments. And the 12 seems to have found something here late as we're closing in on 11 laps to go.
That he has, and Bowie right now struggling. You can see there big time into the wall. Opens up the door. Michael Hayes now back down the inside, and he's going to try to clear him off here in the one. And Hayes up to a top 3 position. Bowie sliding back to 4th. Seems like he's lost the handle on that race car as he'll try to gather back and have a fight towards Hayes. But this battle up front is what's starting to heat up. Brandon 6 has got to think, can he hold St. Croix back? We saw these two have a battle all throughout Indianapolis, and it looks like 6 a little bit loose here. That has opened up the door now for the 12 to close in a little bit.
Losing it just slightly, and I kind of like that last graphic that we had showing. It was showing the predicted lap, how our graphic system was kind of thinking these laps were going to go, and you can see the small little gains through the center of the corner, but it's off the exit where 6 has had the advantage for himself. Entry and center, you see that go green for St. Croix, but then the exits where the speed's been at for the 6 machine. And Zach, this is great information, and right there just gaining a little bit too much with St. Croix tapping the wall, save for Bowie behind, and we're seeing small adjustments just going horrifically bad now here late.
That they are, and it just shows you can get close to somebody, but it's easy to overdrive that entry, overdrive that center to lose the speed off. But this time it's St. Croix finding a little speed, as like we said, behind that Bowie had found his way back around Michael Hayes for the top 3 position. So this is definitely some wild stuff. They're going to be coming to 8 to go this time. Can St. Croix set a charge?
Trying to settle in with these laps just ticking away here tonight. 8 laps to go for tonight's drivers. It's been Brandon 6 up front all night long. There hasn't been anyone that's been able to really touch or get by. We've seen flashes of Brandon Fetterplace. We've seen moments of maybe it was Kevin Thompson, but at year late, it has been St. Croix like he wanted to do so many times last season. Get a win early, set the tone for yourself. 6 already won the first race of the season last week at Indianapolis, and Andrew St. Croix wants to be setting the tone that he's going to be the next driver to watch out for right on the back bumper. 7 laps to go. It's now less than 2 tenths, and another great exit off the corner. St. Croix has found something, but once again, Zach, it's the tough part. You can catch them, but can you pass them?
That's exactly right, Sam. It's one thing getting to the bumper. It's one thing getting this close, but you got to set something up there. A little bit of time lost there off the exit of 4 that time. So St. Croix is going to have to find something, and what he's doing is run a little bit higher up the racetrack, arcing down through the center to get the clean air. But right there, a little bit of the loss of the nose there with the dirty air. This Brandon 6 kind of pulls the gap back out to a little bit of a margin that will give him a little bit of breathing room, but this is far from over here, so they're going to be coming to 5 to go.
5 to go, and you can see just further up ahead, there's a little bit of lap traffic that might play influence here. But Brandon 6 in the 06, feeling confident up front. He just is being a machine right now, hitting his marks. We've rarely seen a mistake here tonight by 6, but they're coming up to traffic. We'll see how they're going to react, if they'll stay low or stay high through the corner. And if they stay low and just let our leaders drive on by, that's going to be the most optimal positioning for Brandon 6. But with Mike Leftwich staying on track and running the preferred lane there, that corner, it kind of gives an opportunity for St. Croix to run down and catch up. As the 60 machine stays low, that's exactly what 6 needs. He's now got fresh air back in front of the 06.
That he does. That is exactly what Brandon 6 wants to see, is that 60 get right up out the way. Great job from Mike Leftwich there to be heads up, knowing what's on the line. And right there through 1 and 2, Brandon 6 pulls that little bit of a gap, but it's been down here in 3 and 4. I think if there's a weakness for this 06, it's been down here, but the 12 looks a little tight that time, almost up into the wall. He still is a gain of time here, but it's just going to be tough to try to set him up now.
2 tenths at the line. It has been this difference for so long. The battling for 3rd place kind of solidified. It's going to be Brandon Bowie unless a major mistake happens. With Hayes in 4th, and 5th is Justin McMahon. Incredible run for all those drivers, but the battle for the lead as we enter closer to 2 laps to go. It is going to be down to 6. Or will it be St. Croix? And St. Croix once again grazing that outside wall. Just looks like it's just too tight off the exit of the corner, giving too much speed to try to make a safe exit. When we're seeing St. Croix every lap, just too much speed on entry that's just hurting them off the exit.
That's exactly right. You always see it go green on the entry, and that's just because that 12 is going in that little bit more. And You know, he's trying to find the way to make it through that and still find the grip, but that's tough to do, Sam.
Especially this long into a run, the grip level's just not there, and now you've only got 2 more opportunities as the white flag is in the air for Brandon 6, the final lap for the 06 to try to go back-to-back in his rookie campaign. Got the pole, did not get the pole, missed out. It was St. Cor that found himself grabbing the pole position, but didn't even get to lead that first lap. Instead, it went to the 06, and he never relinquished it. Keeping that throttle down, it's Brandon 6, back-to-back winner to start out the season 2 for 2024.
What a drive from that driver. Great job all night. I mean, controlled this race from the drop of the green flag, took the lead after starting second to St. Cor, and kind of never let back. But I got to tell you, St. Cor put up one heck of a fight that first run of the race, really fell back and lost the handle in that car. Late in the run there, though, he put on a show trying to catch this 06, but just came up a little bit short.
Brandon 6 already is proven, and that whole entire Bowie Esports team, they will be a threat from here on out. What a charge by the whole entire team throughout the night to be placing themselves in a position here to win. But it's going to be Brandon 6 taking the glory in that black and blue 06 machine as he gets to burn it down. We will step away. When we come back, we'll talk to Brandon 6, Andrew St. Cor, and Brandon Bowie, and a spotlight driver right after this. We'll be back with a post-race show in just a few moments. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. Tonight was race number 2 for the 2024 Season 2 for the True Patriot 175, and going to be taking his second win, so I guess the numbers are starting to line up. We had to victory lane to talk to Brandon Six, and Brandon, what a run here tonight. Had a couple of more contenders fighting with you compared to last week, but man, how are you feeling after your performance here tonight?
Yeah, feeling pretty dang good. It ended up being a pretty nice night with I think teammates there. Unfortunately, I think my teammate BP had an issue there. Otherwise, there was a good minute there where we were running 1, 2, 3 as a team, and was hoping it would stay that way, but unfortunately, had that little issue there with BP.
Definitely an unfortunate issue there for Better Place there, unfortunately for him having that mistake come to pit road, but definitely a great team night for you guys, Brandon. I mean, take us through that ending though, because definitely had your work cut out for you there, because St. Core was definitely on a mission to try to get you, but you just never seemed to make the mistake.
Yeah, I felt like I had plenty of long run pace. I didn't have quite the short run pace that some of the guys had, like my teammate, for instance, Bowie. He had some really good short run pace for about 15 to 20 laps, and I knew I had to try and fight him off, and I was afraid my tires would have been kind of worn out after trying to battle him. And then I saw Andrew get around him, and then I was like, I remember Andrew falling off kind of later or early on in the race, and I thought he might fall off again, and he started to right there at the end. I could tell he was starting to get a little bit tight from the aero and all that good stuff. So kind of did what I needed to do, just kind of put the car, block the air, make the air all dirty for him, and it makes it pretty hard to pass unless the leader makes a mistake.
I mean, it certainly looked like it was difficult to make passes later on there, Brandon, but we've got ourselves 3 more races before we have our first off week of the season, heading to Pocono, Rockingham, and then Daytona. Are any of those tracks calling out to you that you feel like you can win, or do you feel like you can win out until our break?
Honestly, they're all pretty decent tracks for me. Obviously, Daytona is always a wild card. I'm a pretty good pusher there. So we'll see. I would say none of them truly stand out. I'm usually pretty decent at almost all the tracks for the most part. There's only like a handful that I'm not a big fan of. So
Well, we're excited to see how you're going to perform for these next couple of races. But for tonight, congratulations on the win. And before we let you go, the floor's now yours for any more shout outs.
yep, thank you guys. Shout out to you guys obviously for putting on this broadcast. Everyone who puts on this league, and then obviously to my teammates, all the work we put in for the setups and stuff for this race. Glad everything has been paying off here lately, all the hard work we've been doing.
Well, that will be your winner here tonight in the 06 machine. It's Brandon Six. Brandon, congratulations once again. Enjoy this win, and good luck next week at Pocono.
Yep, thank you guys. Have a good one.
You too. As we fall down to second position, we talked to a driver that we got to talk to a lot last season. And for the first time in 2024 Season 2, we got Andrew St. Cour with us. Andrew almost was there to try to steal that win, but you come up second. How are you feeling after this run? Because it seemed like you had a pretty up and down evening for yourself.
Yeah, I'm happy with the finish considering some of the incidences that happened throughout the run. I had quite a bit of nose damage on an incident early. It was about a minute nose damage, and then right after that, it took me a couple pit stops. You probably saw me going a couple different times, and I was just getting that cleaned up. Thankfully, it was 100% repairable, so there was no ill effect of it once I got it repaired. And yeah, so I mean that caution, I think, yeah, the last caution that happened, I didn't really know what to think of that. It ended up working out in my favor to get me up into third, but I was uh, I was kind of playing a bit of a long game though too. I want to stay out longer than everybody else, and then maybe be able to take advantage of a caution and get some people caught a lap down or whatnot. And but that didn't work out. Anyway, it was a lesson learned tonight. As you guys know, probably in prior season or last year, like I typically like the long run and typically kind of come into my own when the run's longer. And I find the last couple of weeks I've been having to first couple weeks of the year. probably drive a little harder than I'm accustomed to early, which is not my style. And it's because we're getting a few more cautions, untimely cautions. Um, so that's kind of unfortunate, but anyway, we'll get it figured out next week. Pocono, good track for myself and the team. So hopefully we can bring home a win for the team for sure, if not myself.
Definitely a great rebound for yourself, Andrew. Of course, started on pole, lost the lead there right at the start of the race. I mean, take us through that first run, because it seemed like the first run of the race definitely seemed to kind of, lose speed as the run kind of continued on and dropped back. And then, at the end of the race there, it seems like you definitely kind of fixed that condition. It seems like the car was much better there coming to the checker flag.
Yeah, I loosened my car up quite a bit before the race started. The track, I'd say what we practiced on was probably consistently 3 to 4, maybe 5 degrees colder than what we fired off here tonight. I was expecting the track to be 3 to 4 degrees cooler. 3 to 4 degrees isn't a lot, but we put a lot of work in on our set this week, and we really hit it dialed in for that kind of temp. And sure enough, the race finished at the temp that I thought it was going to run at to start, and then actually get cooler as the run went on from where we finished the race. So I misjudged that, and it's just that forecasted um, um, weather that does do that. Early in the race, the first initial restart, I got thrown for a loop. I'll be honest. So coming to the green, I didn't know what pacing speed was. I don't know why, but I did not get notice as the leader to maintain a particular speed. So I was pacing at behind the pace car. When the pace car went off, I was expecting that box to come up. It never came up. So I was kind of hovering around 45. And I made a comment over the chat, and then literally I missed time to start because I wasn't, I guess I lost concentration at the end of the day. So I wasn't prepared for that. And that's kind of what gave up the lead right off the bat. But at the end of the day, Brandon Six was going to get by me. He was stout tonight. He led every lap start to finish, I believe. Good on him. I wish I had got that first lap though, just to get the bonus points. That's for sure.
Yeah, it would have been a very nice bonus point to grab. But we know it's going to be a long season for yourself. We're heading towards 3 races before our first break: Pocono, Rockingham, and then Daytona. We know the team's been great at Daytona, but what's your thoughts on the next 2 races that we're heading to here, Andrew? And are there any feelings that you could have another great performance like you had here tonight?
Well, honestly, I besides the finish last week, I was the second best car in the field. So I gotta keep my head up here because the standings aren't reflecting the run that we had last week. Untimely caution at the end, just it didn't work out in my favor. If we had gone green, I comfortably would have hit second place. But and second place tonight, I'd be right there in the standings. I'd be second place, but I don't know where we're at after this. But in saying that, we got to keep our head up. We got to work hard here. We got to work together, especially at Pocono and Daytona. Rockingham's a little bit different, obviously, but Pocono is 100%. You got to have teammates. You got to have support. That is a track that I'm really excited about. Back, I'm pretty confident there. I feel like I'm pretty solid. Officials, I really had a good week there about a month and a half ago, whenever it was. So really looking forward to getting there next week. The Rock is going to be a bit of an unknown, different style racing from what we've seen the first 2 weeks. And then Daytona, I think our record there speaks for itself. So expect to have a really good showing there.
We certainly will. Andrew, again, congratulations on a great run in second place. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any more shout outs.
Yeah, thanks for the great broadcast, guys. Thanks for the competitors out there tonight. For the most part, I think we're all racing really hard. We're all racing for a position. We understand how important it is to get position at a track like Nashville Super Speedway, where it's very difficult to make passes. Hard racing, and I do appreciate others are trying to race hard too. So I want to thank those competitors for the hard racing, and and also Daniel, and thank the folks that are watching, and my teammates at Twisted Axle and Beast Motor Performance for helping us put these sets together each week. So that's it. Thank you.
Well, that will be the number 12 machine of Andrew St. Cyr. Congratulations on a second place finish there, Andrew. Enjoy it and good luck at Pocono next week.
Thank you.
As we move from second place, we go down to third, where we get to talk to another Bowie esports driver. We got Brandon Bowie with us. Brandon, another week starting in the back, moving forward, proving your strength, but coming up in third here tonight. Well, how are you feeling after your performance here this evening?
Yeah, feeling I guess feeling okay. Kind of burnt up the tires a little bit toward the end, and I didn't want to fight my teammate too hard because of I knew there was some company behind us. So I guess first I want to apologize to the 98 Jamie Horn. Went back and looked at the replay, and I got into him a little bit, and he washed up the track, and I'm not sure what happened to him after that, but it looked like he went a lap down. So apologize to him for that. But other than that, yeah, it was interesting, coming from the back. Unfortunately, I didn't really get to practice much, so I didn't feel like it was that I should qualify up there and make a mistake. So, ended up still making a mistake. Got into it with I think the 45 and spun out. Had to claw my way back through and try to get a top 5 out of it, but then I had to fight hard to hold off. I think the 48 and the 48, yes. And try to find the 12. The 12 was fast, man. He was right up there with 6. So, pretty interesting race. I'm really not used to open setups lately. I've been a fixed driver for a while now, so trying to get the flow back into running open since running pro days. So, but it was pretty interesting tonight, though.
Definitely was an interesting battle, man. You climbed your way through the field, Brandon, so congrats on that. Definitely had a ton of fire off speed there for sure. You had your teammate definitely under threat there for a moment. It seemed like you had one slide off of 4 there before St. Cyr got around you, and it kind of from there you were kind of playing defense. So take us through that battle with Hayes, because that was quite the battle. Both you guys passing each other back multiple times.
Yeah, like I said, he was he was he was pretty fast. But I knew I could rotate the bottom really, really good, and I could power off the corner, but at the same time I was actually loose. I made some adjustments and I went a little too far. So had to kind of backpedal a little bit how aggressive I could be off the corner. And it seemed like he was good on entry, and I really couldn't be that aggressive on entry anymore. So it was kind of just managing racing with him, trying not to burn him up too much, but also trying to be fair and race him clean. But yeah, it was definitely fun racing him. I think probably if I make one, it was one point where he got in front of me and I just about wrecked it coming off the corner, but somehow I saved it. I would say if that happened, I'm pretty sure he's sailing, he's gone. So, but yeah, that battle was a lot of fun. Definitely a lot of fun tonight.
It was a joy for us to watch. I know for up in the booth, getting to see that duel back and forth. But Brandon, before we let you go, floor's now yours for any more shout outs.
Yeah, I gotta give, of course, shout out to my team, Bowie Esports. Of course, they're putting in a ton of time, and I think it's showing tonight with the speed and the practice that they're doing. Unfortunately, again, I haven't been able to do it, but they're good enough to be able to give me some advice and setups to kind of help me kind of stay at least afloat. But got to thank my sponsor, Gremlin Cards, EMOS. Check them out at tinyurl.com/gremlins gremlins cards. You can use the Bowie Esports 20 promo code to get 20% off there. Got to thank Boosted, Circle B Diecast, the family, you guys for putting on the broadcast, and that's about it.
Well, that will be your third place finisher here tonight. That will be Brandon Bowie in the 54. Congratulations on the finish, Brandon, and good luck next week at Pocono.
Thanks.
As we move down, we go talk to a driver finishing in the top 5, and I feel like it's been a while since we've seen this type of a run, and the adversity really was shown this evening. We got Justin McMahon with us. Justin, You come away with a top 5 finish here tonight. I know, looking back, reflecting on last season, this has got to be feeling great to get a top 5 finish this early on in the season.
Yeah, it's definitely keeps my head up a little bit more. A lot of good competition in here this season, so it's gonna be a an upward battle, but finishing and bringing it home 5th tonight from after how we qualified and avoiding some of the mayhem tonight that pursued, it's definitely a confidence booster. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season for sure.
Definitely a great run tonight, Justin, man. Call up in a few incidents there early and having a great rebound with some great strategy. Take us through the calls on the decision to make the strategy calls, because it seemed to work really well.
Yeah, honestly, I think some of that was just timing with how that first caution played out. I was actually I was about to pit that next lap. So I'm glad I didn't decide to pit a lap sooner, and then otherwise I probably would have been caught a lap down. But yeah, I don't know. Honestly, it was kind of a blur tonight. I was just kind of crossing my fingers and trying to finish. Just to be honest, just with how aggressive some of the racing was tonight. It wasn't just in the back of the pack; it was all the way from the back to the front. I'm sure you guys obviously saw it tonight in the broadcast, but it was a struggle to get up there. I'm just glad that I was able to avoid the carnage and bring it home in 5th.
I mean, I know, looking at the stats, seeing that you're a veteran of this series, we've been waiting for you to finally survive some of the carnage and bad luck that you've been having, Justin. But we're happy for this finish for you, as we've got 3 races before our first break of the season. We have Pocono, Rockingham, and Daytona. How are you feeling for these next couple of races that are coming up?
I feel pretty good about it. Pocono's usually been a pretty good track for me. Just got to make sure that we have time to work on the setup and make the adjustments that we need for hopefully a good long run there. But I think I've run pretty well there before in the past, so I think I hopefully can bring it home at least in the top 5 again. At least those guys up front, Brandon 6, he's been pretty tough to beat this opening couple of weeks. So it'll be tough, but I look forward to it. It should be fun.
Well, we cannot wait to see how you're going to perform, Justin, for these upcoming weeks and for the rest of the season. Congratulations on a 5th place finish. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any more shout out.
Oh yeah, Group 6 for the sponsor on the car, Daniel for putting the league on, and you guys for doing the broadcast.
Well, thank you very much, Justin, for giving us such a great show to call. Congratulations again on 5th, and good luck next week at Pocono.
Yeah, thank you.
As we move from our interviews, we get ready to take a look at our unofficial results, which I'm also going to hand over the reins to Zach Hall for the rest of the broadcast, as I have to step away. But Zach, have fun taking a look at the rest of our unofficial results.
That we are, Sam. We're going to take a look at these unofficial results, as tonight was a wild one here at the Nashville Super Speedway. Plenty of drivers having mistakes, twists, and turns, but it was the same guy who won the season opener last week. It's Brandon 6 taking his 2nd victory of the season to start off season number 2. What a start to his season. Of course, Andrew St. Court, the great rebound back up to the 2nd position. We heard from Brandon Bowie there in his call from 28th to 3rd tonight. 4th's going to go to Michael Hayes. Had a great finish to his night. Same for Justin McMahon, who we just talked to there in the 5th place position. Eric Warman going to bring it home at 6th. A great run for that 31 team. 7th is going to go to Adam Thompson. 8th is going to be Daniel Wilkerson. Great run for him. Also getting the top 10 here tonight. Same for Christopher Leftwich in 9th. And Stephen Hayes, after missing his pit box, will bring it back to 10th. So great rebound from him as we look through the rest of these finishing results. Definitely some issues for others out there. I think Kevin Thompson at 12th would have wanted more out of tonight, but our defending champion going to start off with 2 weeks in a row of not the finishes that he would have been looking for, and just tough situations to be in. You look at the driver in 24th of Brandon Fetter place. That driver right there in the mix to win this thing with his teammates. It ends up in a crash coming to pit road. That ended his night early, 15 laps down. So tough ending for a few guys. As you've seen the final few drivers of tonight's finishing results, it was a wild one here at the Doghouse Racing League. They've put on some great shows here in the first 2 weeks with this open setup series, and it's just been a blast to call from everybody up here, including myself, Zach Hall, and Sam Dyer up the booth. Again, we want to thank all the league sponsors here at the Doghouse Racing League, everybody who shows up week in and week out and watches the races with us. Of course, we'll be live on Monday nights, Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights, and Thursday nights as always. And it's been Zach Hall up here, Sam Dyer, who called the race with me, and Robert Moyer on our production box. Thank you all for tuning in. It's been a special one. Don't miss the next. Hit that subscribe and like button, and we'll see you next time.